Former sub-postmistress Deirdre Connolly's life changed forever when she was falsely accused of stealing more than £15,000 from the post office in 2010. She was immediately suspended and, along with her husband, had to borrow from elderly relatives to help pay back the money before being declared bankrupt in 2013. It's just terrible.
It's shocking, really is. Deirdre applied for compensation at the end of last year, but despite the government's promise to respond to her claim within 40 days, she has yet to hear back. Deirdre joins us live from her home in Northern Ireland. And we also have Liam Byrne, who's the chair of the Business and Trade Committee, live with us from South East London. Good morning to both of you. Deirdre, thank you for joining us this morning. It was only a couple of weeks ago that you were in the studio with Charlotte and I, and you explained your story. You told us what you'd been through, and you said yesterday was the day you were waiting to hear what you were going to get. You weren't holding out much hope that you were going to hear anything, and sadly, the government failed to deliver, didn't they?
There was no offers yesterday, or we've heard no queries, so my legal team has now sent a letter asking for the reason for the delay and a timescale of when we'll get an offer.
Have you heard anything at all, Deirdre? Have your legal team had any correspondence that has allowed them to think that, you know, something is in the works and they're going to come back to you at some point?
No, I've heard nothing from it went on.
It seems extraordinary, isn't it?
That's why I was wondering.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if there's any queries or if there's anything and need extra information or anything, but I haven't heard anything, so...
Yeah, so whether there are any questions on your claim... I mean, it's after we saw what happened post the drama and we saw the Prime Minister stand up and make all those promises and pledges to you and all those other sub-postmasters that this was going to get sorted, it was going to get sorted quickly. For you to have had nothing at all just is absolutely devastating.
Nothing. Like the Minister made a statement a couple of weeks ago, say that there was 58 full claims submitted and 52 had got offers made. So if that's about 2 weeks ago, so I'm one of the 6 that haven't got an offer. I'm sure he's got a full department that can be working on it. What happens if the other 400 goes in and mass? How's he going to cope with that?
It's so hard, isn't it, when you've all been so wronged and there's been so much injustice. I wasn't here when you came in. It's lovely to meet you. I feel so furious on your behalf. And you're not alone, are you? I mean, you know somebody who's been waiting more than 80 days. And we know that bureaucracy is slow. We know that things have to check out. But as Ben says, when you've had the assurances that something will be done, is there anything you can do? Is there a number to call? Is there an address you can go to and say, help me? Because your personal situation is getting more urgent, isn't it? Your husband, Darius, who, of course, was affected by all of this, has long COVID, his health is deteriorating, he's struggling to breathe. You know, this is not something that can wait.
Exactly. It's more pressing now because of the way Darius is. My legal team has sent an email last night, so I'm hoping that I'll hear something, even if we get another interim payment to help us through. But it's just constant fighting, Kate. You just don't know who to talk to or who to push, or you're in limbo.
God, it's so frustrating.
And, you hear about your man. Yeah, you hear Staunton saying at the weekend, it's hard for us not to believe that they're delaying compensation, where I'm sitting at the minute, to be honest.
It certainly feels like that. Let's talk to Liam Byrne, who's the chair of Business and Trade Committee, who's with us this morning. I mean, Liam, when you hear what Deirdre's saying, and you can understand absolutely, can't you, what they hear on the weekend, that there was a suggestion that the new head of the Post Office was going to delay these compensation payments so it's limp into the next government, even though that's been refuted by some ministers, you can understand her frustration. Why can't they sort this out quicker?
Exactly. I mean, I'm just so furious about this now because after all of these years, after all the promises made to Parliament, people like Deirdre are still going through what they're going through. And it's just not good enough. So on Tuesday, we are bringing together, in front of the Business and Trade Committee, we're bringing together Mr Bates, and others to hear from the victims firsthand. We're hearing from the civil servants who are actually running this scheme that is going so slowly. We're hearing from the chief executive of the Post Office, and we're hearing from Mr. Staunton as well, because we've got all of this confusion over the last few days when what we really needed is clarity and speed. And the reason this is so important is that we've got a new bill coming to Parliament quite soon that is going to overturn the convictions of those that were wronged. And I think that we need to write into that bill a legally binding hard deadline so that everybody is under no confusion. There is a clear legally binding instruction to deliver, because you hear stories like Deirdre, and just enough already. Let's just get these checks in the post.
Because we understand that there's £1 billion has been put aside to compensate anybody that has their claims looked at and then delivered on. So the money is clearly there. Why is it getting caught up, Liam? Why is there not more sort of emphasis on them delivering for Deirdre and all those other postmasters and postmistresses?
Well, exactly. At the moment, it seems like we've got this kind of bureaucratic tangle where those that were wronged have got to basically get in touch with the Post Office to get together the information and the data, because often, we're going back some years now. Then once all that information's gotten together, then that's then put into a process where the compensation is kind of reviewed. But why can't we have like a legally binding process where the Post Office has got, and the government has got a legal obligation to get that information together in 20 days, and then they've only got another legally binding 20 days before the offer's made, and then it goes to an independent process that makes a decision inside 48 hours, and then the cheque is in the post. Why can't we do that? And frankly, if ministers aren't going to come forward and propose that, then I think that we should be making that the law of the land, so that at least people like Deirdre and everybody who was wronged has actually got the comfort that there's a legal process here that the government is legally obliged to follow.
I don't think you'd get any disagreement from us at all, or any of those people that have been through this. Deirdre, can we come back to you? Because look, when you were in with us last time, those few weeks ago, the woman that was one of the investigators into your scenario, Suzanne Winter, was being questioned, wasn't she, in front of the committee. You were hoping you were going to get an apology from her. She did apologise of sorts. What did you make of what you heard from her?
Well, Ben, it took her 2 attempts to apologise, so I don't know if you'd class that as an apology.
You need the practical support to... It won't make up for what you've been through, but it will help you now have the best life you can now. In terms of emotional support from people around you, has that been helpful? Because one of the terrible burdens of this is that you had all those accusations for so long. Have you taken any comfort in the reaction from everyone that you've got?
It's been brilliant. It's been a brilliant reaction to since I was on last with yourselves. It's good to have good family support and friends. But I'm just thinking, Kate, on your claim, whenever they put in, you have a head of loss, stigma and reputation.
Yeah.
They think stigma, your reputations are only worth about £10,000. They don't realise, like, that reputation, my reputation's ruined. Yeah. And the stigma that will always be with me.
And that will eat into you, of course.
It's unfair.
Sorry, carry on, do.
It's just so unfair, the way that the heads of loss that they're putting in. And the bandits, low, medium and high. Like, my claim is all, like, mostly medium, because if you put on high, you're not going to get it. They're going to be looking for more information and more information. And you're just being taken apart all the time. I
mean, Deirdre, we saw, didn't we, that Alan Bates's offer that he was given was a sixth of what he'd actually claimed for. So we understand that it is a very complicated process. It doesn't necessarily mean that when they get the offer, it's going to be enough. Well, look, Deirdre, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you for joining us. Stay in touch, though, because we'd love to know about the offer when eventually it does come through, because they have an onus to get it to you at some point, of course. It's down to them, but it should be coming. And Liam Byrne, let's hope that when you get in front of that committee on Tuesday, you can start pushing forward to make that a legally binding sort of contract with the government and with the Post Office to get this money sorted, because we can see what it's doing to Deirdre and her fellow sub-postmasters mistresses. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you, Ben and Kate.
Thank you.
Just makes you seethe.
Oh, They're awful frustrating and living with it.
promises
So
that they've
awful.
made.
Yeah.
You know.